We've got African Championships at the end of the month, but we can plan there's another chance after this. There's two races that we can choose between 23rd and 24th of the month, but if need be, I can run there. Obviously I'd like to obtain the time as quick as possible, and tomorrow is about just getting back into my rhythm and running a good race, and I feel strong again, so I'm pretty sure that should happen. And I ran 1 year last year in the rain, so if we have good weather I'd like to run quick again. It's something that it's always a confidence booster if you've run well in a certain place or on a certain track, and I feel like I know the track fairly well by now, so it'd be nice to run well there.
Has it almost been surprising how tough it has been to get that time again? Because for the longest time you're trying to get it, and you got it, so you know you can do it. Did you think getting it again is going to be easier than it has been?
I always knew it would be pretty difficult. On a really good day, you run quick and it feels great. But the days that you struggle are usually the days that you run slow. So it's always been something when I run my personal best or low 45s. It's always been days that I felt good and wanted to chase those times. After last year, I knew I'd be able to make it this year. We put in the hardest pre-season. We started on the 25th of October, and we just had, really stepped it up as far as my diet and resting and recovery, and we did a whole bunch of things that worked the same we kept, but we changed a lot of small things just to make everything better. And I thought with that it would be a lot easier this season. For me, usually the first race of the year is usually a dog race. I've never run well on my opening race in Europe. And this race once again this year was bad, but I didn't expect it to go this bad. And then 2 days later we ran in Hengelo and it was a lot better, and I thought, okay, well, that's kind of usually how I open up my season. And then at Pre, I think I just didn't run the race I wanted. I kind of threw the race away on the back straight. I didn't maintain my position and my pace. And although I kicked very hard between the 2 and the 300, I think with the kind of problems I had with my hip, it just made it lock up again. So in the last straights I didn't run at all what I wanted to run. That's got a lot better now over the last couple of days, so I'm hoping that tomorrow when we run, I can just focus on running a very quick, efficient race and maintaining good form. I'm going to have to concentrate a lot during the race and just running a very balanced race and consistently fast, not run sectors too fixed in that specific way. So just get out the blocks quick, exit onto the back straight, be efficiently fast, and then accelerate when I feel comfortable gradually, and then just maintain on the home straight. I think that for me is going to be the thing that's going to get me to the line quickest tomorrow.
Where were you flying when you were sleeping? How were you positioned?
I was just lying on my side. I fell asleep, and I think I just kind of. The one thing sprinters never do is we don't often land and then do our light session. You usually use the first day just to do run-throughs and stretching and things. And I was doing 150 run-throughs, and as I came out of the corner, I just felt like, biked a little bit, so I stopped and then it was just I think from flying, because we raced quite a couple. We raced, especially Strava. I flew from Johannesburg to Amsterdam to Venice, and then when we flew out, we flew Venice, Manchester, and then Manchester, London, Prague, Ostrava. So it was just a couple of flights, and then I think just from all of that, we have to be very specific with our bodies, and I don't think a lot of people realize, even the way we sit with muscles, like in this position, your muscles get shorter. And we have to focus quite a lot on maintaining, range of motion and looking after ourselves. So it's just, it was one unfortunate thing, and it was, in the beginning of the year, you always start your season off with great physical form, but you get racing fitness from confidence, and so unfortunately the first couple of races weren't what I wanted. But I have to toughen up now and just run the race I need to run and that I can run. I've shown that I can do that, and I've shown myself that I'm capable of running those times, and in a way, it's kind of like somebody trying to write their thesis on something for months and then handing it in. You want to get those marks, and those marks are where you get them on the track. So I want to reward myself with the hard training I've put in and the sacrifices I've made. And that's the way I need to think about it.
So would you like that? Where did you land, and where did you feel it when you
I just
worked
started
out?
like up
But
in
what city were you in?
I was in Gemona, where we've been based in Italy.
When you do have a race, you're not happy with yourself.
I'm very critical even on a good day. I've had personal best races where I think some of the people around me are happier than what I am, and I'll be like, yeah, it was great, but this was bad, or that could have been better, or certain things could have gone in a more specific way, and I think that for me sometimes gets a bit frustrating. But that's the only way you can get that. So I analyse everything. I look at how I slept, to how I travelled, to what I ate, to what type of did I judge the race badly with my competitors. It's always good to have, although you run your own race in a 400, you need to have one or two guys that are either in front of you or very quick on the first 200 in your inside, so you can manage the race and say, okay, be critical of yourself during the race, because otherwise, you can find yourself in a difficult position with 100 meters to go. So sometimes if you have one marker or two markers and they don't have a good race, you've focused on running a specific way, you need to adapt to that quite quickly in a race. So you need to be open to all the kind of scenarios that may happen. And when a race doesn't go well, you need to say, okay, what happened? Was my planning flawed? Was my race? Most of the time, it's just execution. You need to go out. 400 is not an easy race. You need to go out hard and stick to your guns. And if you're not if you've got niggle or alignment problem like I had with my hip, then you're gonna struggle on the last 100. So you can run as much as you want, but you see often races where athletes say they just stayed relaxed, and that's when they run fast. So it's not to get in a panic and not to tense up, and just remain focused, remain calm, put your power down, and keep it clean, I guess.
Is there a problem with overthinking?
Yeah, ultimately it's a physical event. You can. My coach always says, when people say, I'm going to run like this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do that. So you can't talk yourself through a 400. It's not going to happen. And any good 400 meter athlete will tell you that. You can't say, this is how I'm going to do that. But you have to have a plan. So you go in with a game plan, you try to execute that plan. But in the race, 9 out of 10 times you'll adapt it, but it needs to be adapted to be more aggressive or more fast or more intense. You can't adapt it to a negative standpoint. So whatever happens, you make quick decisions. That every stride, you've got a certain mindset, and you're in a certain stride, and you're contemplating: should I go? Should I stay? What's happening? How's the wind? All these factors. These are all things that take time, and it takes time off the finish. So you need to make those decisions and make them fast. But you can only make those decisions if you have a game plan that okay, look, if the wind starts blowing in from this angle, what am I going to do? If the field goes, am I going to attack? Am I going to stay with them? Am I going to ease off and then hit harder and hope that they fatigue during that place? You've got to make all those decisions. But the 400 is ultimately flat out the whole way. So there's only so much, thinking that needs to be done.
I just have a quick question around Olympic qualifying. Has Athletics South Africa always said that you'd have to run the A standard twice in the window, or a year ago did they say you just had to do it once?
I'll ask my agent to answer this question.
Yeah, did it change or not?
It's always been twice for anybody, or every athlete. That's why when the South African team has been announced, the provisional team that's been announced, there's only like 5 or 6 athletes at the moment in the team. There's a lot of athletes that has achieved one A standard.
I thought a year ago they had said only once.
No,
Okay, all right. Thank you.
After you getting to the Olympics will raise the profile more in the Paralympics. You've already if you had a rival, a guy like Jerome, would that be helpful, you think, to kind of get people excited about the Paralympics?
Yeah, a rivalry between two sportsmen is always great. There was a big rivalry between Jerome and I in 2008, and he's the only guy to beat me in the 100 in I think 7 years. So there's a great rivalry between us. But there are a lot of guys who have run quicker than he has that are going to be just as hungry, if not as hungry or more, in the summer later this year in the 100. So not only do I have my work cut out with Jerome, I've got cut out with a whole bunch of other guys that I'm just as motivated to beat. So. If you look at the Paralympics in Beijing, the time difference between my winning time and the guy who came fourth, that gap was the same as the time that Bolt won and the guy who came number 2. So there's 4 athletes that fit within that same spectrum. So the finishes are unbelievably close. it's nobody's race, and I think that rivalry, that intensity, it's not favourites. You know, you can support the guy from your country, and there's a chance that he may win. So I think that really motivates the sport. You know, if you look at 2008, the time between the guy who came first and the guy who came last in the final was 1.5 seconds. Now, just to make the qualification, you need to run half a second of the world record. So it's just, I mean, it's a completely different game to what it was 4 years or 8 years ago.
Where are the meets in the 23 and 24 you're considering?
The one's in Belgium and the one's in France. They're two small meets, and I think that you know, those would be nice for me to go back to Europe and refocus a bit and spend a couple of days training at my base there, and then go out and play some good times.
Oscar, you talk about being critical. What would be your perfect race that you're looking for?
You know, perfect race starts 2-3 days before. You know, it's being in good form and being rested, and then going into in a meet, traveling easy, not having any hang-ups at the airport or anything like that, and then you know, everything. I mean, often a lot of the meets we run in are specific to a certain region, so they serve types of food found in that region, and if you can't find something that you're used to, that can become a problem. So diet's a big thing. And then running a race from the start, reaction time good, easy drive phase, make it fast and make it comfortable, and then settling in, finding rhythm and being calm, and then exiting nicely onto the back straight. That's probably one of the most important parts, is the speed that you exit out into the back straight, and the fashion that you do that maintains the speed. And then, finding a confidence in yourself to kick hard on the last 200 and just going for it, and working out comfortably for you, just staying on the inside of the lane and exiting out into the home straight, and just big motion, putting down power, and then being able to dip for the line. That would be like the dream race, I guess,
right,
in your mind, and that's the race you run through your head every time you think about a race.
What were some of the minor changes you made this year? You mentioned diet. What were some of the little things you did a little bit differently?
I mean, just the small things. I was already from 2009. We've been dieting, to be most efficient on the 400. So I've lost a lot of weight last season already. But this season was just about being comfortable at that weight. So that recovery is important. You can run lean. Anyone can run lean. But if you're naturally a bit bigger and you want to run 400, you have to cut down a bit, and to be comfortable there, you have to make sure that you're getting in all your nutrients. And so vegetables, I've eaten more of those, I think, in the last year than I have in 24 years before. And a lot of oils and nuts and seeds, natural fats and natural oils, and then cutting out carbs as much as possible. So, those make a big difference, and no sugar, fruit juices and things like that are not great for us. Anything that stimulates from that aspect is not great. So, from diet, I think that's probably one of my strongest points. And, I start to do everything properly, because if you train, you can train 100%. If you're only allowing your body the nutrients to train at that 100, you can change the game a lot with the recovery and with the preparation for your training sessions, the way you eat. And then you need to rest your body. We in a sport where you need to rest a lot. So not walking around and not doing anything that's going to build muscle in the wrong place or stimulate certain types of blood cells or any of that. So you're really concentrating on everything you do, and everything you put in your body needs to be thought of carefully, and you have to ask yourself, is this contributing to my sport? Is this going to make me quicker? Is it going to make me stronger? It's very important.
Is that less more challenging for you? I mean, your persona is, you like to do a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and I love to
You're not
eat.
exactly
No, I love to eat as well, and that was, I think it was a problem. It was difficult when I started out, and now it's really easy. I'm not really fussed about, I can easily sit across the table when somebody's eating a piece of cake and having a milkshake, and I'm not fussed really about it anymore. When I'm so set on what I want to do and the goals that I have set. So, there's no point in training as hard as we do and then going and messing it up, and that's the way I see it. It's the kind of motivation that you need to give yourself. So I don't find it too much of a challenge. I guess when it is difficult is when you're traveling and you're struggling to find certain things, and you have to sometimes balance it up when you are hungry. You can't